Alright, what is up, YouTube? We're going to try and do this quick because my phone is dying. And we are using the front-facing camera because this is my actual third attempt at making this video. The first one, I wasn't really in frame. I was trying to use the good camera. The second one, my phone died, so I've been charging it for about 15 minutes while I played with this thing. And now we're going to try and do this very quick. So what is this video about? This video is about a project that I've been working on for about 6 months now. I've talked about it in videos. It's my Bartop arcade machine. Very quickly, it's running off a Raspberry Pi 3. I ended up taking an image of RetroPie with, a bunch of ROMs online. Not going to share that URL. Go ahead, Google it. Look on Reddit. It's easy enough to find. There's a site with a whole bunch of images, or just look on YouTube. The guy that did the image that I ended up taking posted a whole bunch of YouTube videos. And again, he actually answered me, so he does support his stuff. I don't have his name handy, so I'm sorry. I'll try and put it in the description. But there you go. I took his image, and that's what I'm running. What is my machine? It is basically about $40 worth of MDF board, which is like wood dust that they glue together and combine and make pieces of wood out of wood. It's not the best, but I mean, for making furniture or something like an arcade cabinet, it's perfect and it's dirt cheap. Now, a couple of things that I learned along the way that I'm going to share with you guys right now. I bought plans online for how to build this. I'm not going to share that because, to be honest with you guys, they were not very complete. They were not very clear. And he 100% based everything on the parts that he was going to use instead of just making a generic plan with annotations of like if you have this kind of like just clear instructions. So here's my clear instructions. You can cut your two sides, that's fine, cut those whenever you want. Before you make anything else, however, go ahead, find what screen you're going to be using, and I am using a 24-inch Insignia TV. That's the really important part, and some of you are going to like say, obviously, you dumbass, why did you think anything different? Just because a screen or a TV says it's 24 inches does not mean they are all going to be in the same kind of ballpark width-wise. For example, like I said, the plans that I bought, the guy was using a specific computer monitor that was 24 inches. It fit probably perfectly in his measurements, but it is a lot smaller than what a normal sized LCD TV or screen in 24 inches would be. So we made the big mistake of following his plans, and then when I went to buy a TV, expecting them to be in the same kind of ballpark and usable, we realized that no. The only TV that I could have bought that would have fit in this was so ridiculously expensive that it didn't make sense to buy. So we ended up buying a very cheap Insignia TV. I think I paid about $100 for this TV, and just bought more MDF and started over. Why did I use a TV instead of a computer screen? A lot of people seem to use LED or LCD computer monitors. Super simple. TV, most of the time anyway, is going to have built-in speakers. Monitors for a computer usually do not. So yes, you'd save a couple of bucks on a computer monitor, and even nowadays, not really. But you'd have to factor in the fact that you would need external speakers, which the Raspberry Pi would support. That's not an issue, but you'd have to also think ahead of time because you're going to need an extra outlet, because usually, unless you get USB powered speakers, but even then, I don't know if the Raspberry Pi is going to be strong enough to power speakers and the LEDs and everything it needs to. I've joysticks I ended up buying on Amazon. I've done a video about that. A lot of people asked a bunch of questions on that video, and sadly I had to answer I don't know, because I had not built this yet. But now I have the answers for you, so if any of you were still wondering and actually followed this channel, yes, it does work with the Raspberry Pi. Yes, the Raspberry Pi is strong enough to power the LEDs on these joysticks. Well, not the joysticks, but the buttons, obviously. Now, obviously, the kit came with 2 extra buttons, I believe, for each player. I didn't use all 8 because it didn't make sense. This is going to be a classic kind of arcade, and most old arcade games don't really need more than even some 1 or 2 buttons, but at most I wanted at least 6 normal buttons for fighting games, and then the select start for each player, which are just kind of needed for any kind of arcade game anyway. So yes, the Pi is strong enough on its own to power the LEDs and make everything work with 2 players. I haven't actually had anyone over to play 2 players yet, but I just booted something up randomly and picked 2 players and just kind of fiddled with it quick, and it worked. I don't know if adding the 2 extra buttons on each side would take that much more power that it wouldn't make it work. But if you're going for a simple 6 and select start for each side, it is strong enough. No problems. Another thing I want to mention is the Marquee. And even now I've turned all the lights on and you still can't see it. It looks great to me. On camera it just comes up as a big white blob. I don't know why. No, it's just not going to want to. The Marquee. Originally, I wanted to make this a Bartop TMNT arcade machine, hence the red, blue, and purple. I was going to put Michelangelo decals on either side to add the orange for all 4 of the turtles, and I was going to get the original TMNT arcade Marquee. Turns out getting a custom Marquee like that printed was going to be excessively expensive, so what did I do? I could not find the scan of the TMNT Arcade Marquee in high enough res online to be printable. And sorry, this is going to be really bright, but let me just stand here. I ended up just taking a generic MAME Arcade Marquee, which just says arcade and has a bunch of classic arcade characters everywhere on it. Which was high enough, obviously, res to be printed and look really good. You can see there, the details are all there. It looks great. I had a friend of mine edit this slightly on Photoshop because the original file had the arcade letters in yellow with an orange glow coming off of it. Obviously, that doesn't really suit me. I had my friend change the glow and the lettering to purple to fit with the accents of my machine. It looks great. You can't see it. I'm sorry. It does look great. I had this printed at Staples. It cost me $20. Big deal, right? And it's laminated. I was hoping the lamination would make it stiff enough that I could just use that. Didn't turn out. So I ended up having to go this very morning and buy some plexiglass to put behind this. As you can hopefully hear there's plexiglass behind it to just make it nice and solid. I could have put another piece of plexi over, but it looks fine to me how it is. I might glue this on the plexi actually. We'll see. It's mostly staying. It was staying. There you go. Pro tip, plexiglass is not cheap. A full sheet of plexiglass is going to run you about $160, which is kind of ridiculous. The smallest portion of a full sheet that they were willing to sell me was a quarter sheet, which is still 4 feet by 2 feet, I think, which is obviously way more than what I need. So I've got a giant piece of plexiglass sitting in my storage now. But that still ended up costing me about $70. Tacked onto that was obviously taxes, and they charge you for the cutting. But I did get them to cut the piece almost to the right size. I had a bit of trimming to do. That took me a couple of hours. Plexiglass is not fun to work with, to be honest with you guys. It smells really bad. It creates a lot of kind of plastic dust when you're just trying to trim a little bit. Because the box is just a little under 22 inches by 4 inches. So that's what I had him cut. I think the actual measurement is about 21 7/8 by 3.9 inches, give or take. So I had a little bit of trimming to do on both ends, and yeah, so got that done. It works. It was not fun to do, and it's expensive. Otherwise, as you can see, it works, but here is, and I'm just going to stop this here and flip the camera to show you the insides and the sides. Alright, so doing this very quickly, and sorry for the low light, there's not too much I can do about that. Or maybe there is. So on the side here, we did install a light switch. It's basically the power switch for the entire arcade. It's an on-off switch, basically. That will turn on and turn off the Raspberry Pi and the TV and the light. Basically everything that needs to be plugged in. So on the back, we obviously have our power cable, which we did ourselves. We cut in a door for maintenance, a couple of hinges back there, and a handle here. It's not a perfect fit. It could be better, but I mean, it's at the back, so I don't really care. With the magnets there and the metal plates on the door for just easy close. Our Raspberry Pi is right there. A lot of cabling, but it's nicely hidden. The TV is just being held in by a custom frame we built. And this copper, I don't know what you'd call that, copper strapping or something is what the TV is actually screwed into. It's solid enough. The TV is not going to go anywhere. It's good to go. Now, that light switch box is right here. The power cable goes into that, and then the light switch is basically acting as an on-off switch for the power. And then from the light switch, it's wired into this 4-outlet power box, which we have the light box plugged into, which is just an 18-inch neon that you can buy for about $20 at any hardware store. Our TV is obviously plugged in as well, and our Raspberry Pi. And that's all. Me and my brother did the electric work. Obviously, if you have no idea what you're doing, please do not attempt to do any kind of electric work yourself. Okay, so just going to wrap this up quickly before my phone dies again. So here you go. We've got all of our games, and this is just the theme that I chose because it's the one I liked. I don't remember what it's called, to be honest with you guys. I'm sorry. Look it up online. I like it because it shows you each system, but then you also get random screenshots from games. I think it's just fixed screenshots. It's not based on the ROMs you have, but it's still cool to see, and you get a bit of a description of the system. So just going to show you guys that this does actually work. So let's go into arcade here. We are going to select and then pick our letter, so T. And we're going to go ahead and boot into a game. The other nice thing I like is that and I don't know if it's the theme, I think it's more the image that the guy made. All the splash screens were changed, so if you're launching an arcade game, you get a nice little arcade cabinet kind of logo. If it's a NES game, you get a nice little NES image of an old, like pixelated obviously, but... So the buttons can be configured, obviously, but for my, I don't know why, but it's taking the 2 middle buttons, which is fine. That's all I need for this game anyway, and it's still comfortable. And then, so you can see it works. And then when you're done, just press select and start on first player and it will exit the game. So there you go. This is finally, my Bartop arcade machine finalized and I am loving it. I cannot wait to have people over to do some 2-player arcade gaming. So there you go. If you guys have any kind of questions, please post them. I answer questions very quickly. I will also be posting a bit of a montage of me and my brother building this thing. Probably do that tomorrow. It's quite late, so I'm just going to post this and I'm going to go make dinner. I'll try and post the montage tomorrow. But there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, just ask them and I will be super happy to answer them as quickly as I can. Have a nice day, you guys.